everybody. Welcome to technically another episode of Radnarok, but the version of Radnarok that I call Badnarok, because I'm not really aiming to produce something of the highest quality. There will be microphone bumping and movement. There will be probably clearing of my throat. There will probably be a lot of misreading of words and mispronunciations of names and, you know, that whole thing. If you've been keeping up with our watch-along podcasts to the Disney animated features, and you're up to date, then this will be familiar to you in a way. And the latest episode of the podcast, but in the latest watch along, I made mention to not wanting to fill a bunch of time in the actual watch along podcast with factoids about the movie we're about to watch. So I came up with the idea of utilizing the offshoot of this podcast I call Badnarok. There are some Badnarok episodes in the backlog. And Badnarok was really me just kind of recording an episode most of the time on my phone, so not even using like the mixer or, you know, the recording software and the computer and stuff like that to make things sound the nicest I can. I just kind of would run and gun and wing it when I had time, and it didn't make a lot of sense, just a lot of me rambling. So I figured I would take that whole concept, Badnarok, and put all the factoids of the animated features that we're watching, Disney animated features that we're watching. So if you are a diehard Disney, nerd, you can find the nerdy facts and nerdy stuff here. And if you're just kind of more interested in watching the movies and watching along and hear me run my mouth over the movie, then you don't have to worry about this nonsense and just listen to the watch-alongs, right? So, I don't know. We're only 4 watch-alongs deep right now. And having this idea, within that range, I was like, okay, well, I can backtrack and do some Badnarok breakdowns of the movies through now. So I'm going to get caught up. I know when we did the watch along for Snow White, I went pretty heavy into the, inner workings of the film already, but I figured, I can't just start at Pinocchio, like if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. Let's start at the beginning and have a Badnarok to go along with every watch along. So, if you've already seen the watch along for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, then a lot of this information might be repeat, and it might not be as long as the other episodes since the information exists out there already. I told you I was going to hit the microphone, and I'm trying to flip my headphones around because the cords were hitting each other and making an obnoxious sound. I don't know if you could hear it. I should probably turn all this down too, right? And there's the throat clearing. I told you about it. I told you that was going to come. I didn't lie to you. I'm always up front with you. Okay. So, all that being said, if you're still wanting to watch or listen, this one has nothing to watch with it. If you're still wanting to listen, then, hey, what's up? I hope you dig this idea. So this is kind of reminiscent of more of like the original episodes of Radnarok where I just kind of talked and didn't really, didn't go anywhere most of the time. It was all pretty much just chaos, just chaotic old me running my chaotic mouth. That's when I said bad words on the podcast. I don't say bad words anymore. On the podcast, sorry. I'm looking at the microphone. So I know you can hear that because I can hear it. There we go. It's Radnarok. Just living loose. Not stressing. What was I saying? Oh yeah. I don't say bad words on the podcast anymore. I want to make it more family friendly. And now you might be saying, come on, man. Isn't that kind of like a sellout move? Are you putting on a show? Well, I mean, I should probably just not swear as much in general, right? Especially since my 4-year-old can repeat me now, and he knows the difference between, like, is that a good word or is that a daddy word? Like, yeah, it's time to pull all that back, and I want anybody of any age to be able to listen to this. And it is something I'm trying to carry over into my everyday life. Just be less profane. You know what I mean? Oh, I still say it. I still say the daddy words, but I don't know, not as frequently, I guess. Or at least around kids as frequently. Okay. So we're here at the beginning. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I loved watching it, and you can go back that up by listening to the watch along and watching along. Watch the movie too. It was really, I don't know. I did not consider that it was from, like, growing up watching it. I don't know. It was in color. So cartoons in color, I always just assumed like 50s and on in my youth. Now I'm have a far deeper understanding of animation and film and all that jazz, and when colorizing became started hitting the scene, which I think Snow White was the first of like the colored films, I believe. Anyhow, maybe I might be making that up, but we're gonna find out here in a bit. So let's see. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is a 1937 American animated musical fantasy film produced by Walt Disney Productions and originally released by RKO Radio Pictures, based on the 1812 German fairy tale by the Grimm brothers, or the Brothers Grimm. My dyslexia just threw those words in reverse. It is the first full-length, traditionally animated feature film and the first Disney animated feature film. Okay, so it's the first full-length, traditionally animated film. So traditional animation, this is the first full-length film. That I didn't know. So that being said, it's the first color animation film as well, since it was just the first in general. Let's see. I'm answering a text right now. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm done answering that text. The story was adapted by storyboard artist Dorothy Ann Blank. That's her last name. I wasn't just leaving out her last name. Her last name is Blank. Richard Creedon. Merrill Damaris. Otto Engler. Right? No. Englander. Otto Englander. Earl Hurd. That's a cool name. Dick Richard. Ted Sears. And Webb Smith. Okay, so it was adapted by storyboard artists, those folks. Does that also... No, that doesn't make them directors. Okay. David Hand was the supervising director, while William Cottle Cottrell. While William Cottrell, Wilfred Jackson, Larry Murray, Pierce? What? Pierce? What? First name P-E-R-C-E, Pierce, right? Last name P-E-A-R-C-E. Again, another Pierce, right? Am I reading that wrong? Am I just dumb? I mean, probably. It's likely, but to me, that's Pierce. And Ben Sharpstein. They directed the film's individual sequences. Okay, those are the directors. Huzzah. Snow White premiered at the Carthy Circle Theater in Los Angeles, California on December 21st, 1937. It was a critical and commercial success, and with international earnings of more than $8 million during its initial release compared to its $1.5 million budget. Man, $1.5 million in 1937? Good Lord, this was an expensive movie. It briefly held the record for highest grossing sound film at the time. What knocked it out of its place? And sound film. I wonder what the highest grossing film at the time was. Okay. At the time, the popularity of the film has led to it being re-released theatrically many times until its home video release in the 1990s. So up until the 1990s, with VHS home video, they just kept re-releasing it in theaters. That's pretty cool. Adjusted for inflation, it is one of the top 10 performers at the North American box office. Wow. And the highest grossing animated film worldwide. Well, that makes... Oh, no. Yeah, highest grossing animated film. Then the next sentence started with worldwide. I'm telling you. I told you I'm dyslexic. So it is the highest grossing animated film. 1.5 million to 8 million. That's huge. Even, back then, good Lord. That was its initial release. I wonder how much it's made every other release. Worldwide, it is inflation-adjusted earnings top the animation list. What? Worldwide, it's inflation-adjusted earnings top the animation list. That's kind of like a weird standalone thought about it. Snow White was nominated for Best Musical Score at the Academy Awards in 1938. And the next year, producer Walt Disney was awarded an honorary Oscar for the film. This award was unique, consisting of 1 normal-sized plus 7 miniature Oscar statuettes. That's really, really cool. They were presented to Disney by Shirley Temple gave it to him. Did Shirley Temple have to lift that massive Oscar setup for him? In 1989, the United States Library of Congress deemed the film culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant and selected it as one of the first 25 films for preservation in the National Film Registry. So it's one of the first 25 films to be preserved in the National Film Registry. That's cool. I wonder what the other 24 are. The American Film Institute ranked it among the 100 greatest films. I agree with that. Or 100 greatest American films. I would definitely agree with that. And also named the film as the greatest American animated film of all time in 2008. 2008, there was a lot of cool animated films that had come out between 1937 and 2008, but I just feel like the gravitas of Snow White within itself is just too... Of course it had to be. Of course it's going to be the greatest American animated film of all time because it was groundbreaking. It's what started it all. Without Snow White, nothing else, it kind of pointed the direction for animated features to go, right? Disney's take on the fairy tale has had a significant cultural impact, resulting in popular theme park attractions, been on those, a video game, haven't played that, and a Broadway musical, haven't seen that. I don't think I knew that there was one of those. Okay, we're going to skip the plot as go watch it. Go do the watch along. Oh no, do I gotta, oh boy. Reading the cast, that, I'm going to do my best reading these names, okay? Adriana Caslati as Snow White, Lucille Laverne is the Queen, Harry Stockwell as the Prince, Roy Atwell was Doc, Pinto Colvig was Grumpy and Sleepy, and I think Pinto Colvig also did voice work for Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Hey, go watch my classic cartoon commentaries on the Leal Legacy YouTube channel. And watch the Oswald ones and see if I make mention to that. Otis Harlan. Oh, yeah. So, okay. So I mentioned that Pinto Colvig was Grumpy and Sleepy, right? Otis Harlan. Otis Harlan as Happy. Scotty Matra, Mattraw, as Bashful, Billy Gilbert as Sneezy, Eddie Collins, vocal effects and live action reference, okay, and Jimmy McDonald, vocal effects as Dopey. It took two people to Dopey. Dopey had a live action reference. Like, does he look like this guy? Hey, Eddie Collins, do you look like Dopey? He's best remembered for voicing Dopey. Wait a minute, I thought the other guy voiced Dopey. Vocal effects. Oh, I bet. Okay. Okay. He's a Foley artist. John James MacDonald. Oh, and let's see. He was the original head of Disney's sound effects department and was also the voice of Mickey Mouse from 1947 to 1976. All right, Jimmy MacDonald. Oh, what do you know? Okay. Where we end up on? Oh, Jimmy MacDonald. Maroney Olson was the Magic Mirror. That's cool. And Stuart Buchanan was the Huntsman. Fascinating. Development on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs began in early 1934. And in June 1934, Walt Disney announced the production of his first feature to be released under Walt Disney Productions to the New York Times. One evening that same year, Disney acted out the entire story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to his staff. Did he play every role? Announcing that the film would be produced as a feature-length film. He acted it out? The entire story? I would love to see Walt Disney acting as the Queen turning into the old hag. That would be pretty fascinating. Before Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the Disney studio had been primarily involved in the production of animated short subjects in the Mickey Mouse and Silly Symphonies series. Yeah. Disney hoped to expand his studio's prestige and revenues by moving into features. I mean, that's just good business, right? And estimated that Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs could be produced for a budget of $250,000. Ooh. That was 10 times the budget of an average Silly Symphonies. Well, the budget ultimately became 1.5 million, right? Yeah, 1.5 million budget. So it's a little bit more than, the 250 projection. Let's see. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was to be the first full-length cell animated feature in motion picture history, and as such, Walt Disney had to fight to get the film produced. Well, it's Disney's nothing but a fighter, right? Both his brother and business partner, Roy Disney, and his wife, Lillian, attempted to talk him out of it. Come on, Roy. Come on, Lillian. And the Hollywood movie industry referred to the film as Disney's Folly when it was in production. Why? Why would they call it Disney's Folly? Because he's just dumping a whole bunch of money in this long cartoon? Well, now what? He had a mortgage, or he had to mortgage his house to help finance the film's production, which eventually ran up a total cost of $1,488,422.74. A massive sum for a feature film, I guess, for any feature film in 1937. Paid off. I mean, built an empire. He already had an empire going, but I mean, like, really got the ball rolling on with Snow White. Story development. Let's see. On August 9th, 1934, 21 pages of notes entitled Snow White Suggestions were compiled by staff writer Richard Creedon, suggesting the principal characters as well as situation and gags for the story. Sweet. As Disney had stated at the beginning of the project, the main attraction of the story for him were the Seven Dwarfs. That makes sense to me. They're your, well, I guess I was gonna say those are your toys right there, but I suppose you could have Snow White as a toy as well. Princess, no, obviously. Was Barbie around yet in the 30s? No, I lost it. Seven Dwarfs and their personalities and screwiness and gags. Oh, their possibilities for screwiness and gags. Yeah. Snow White's not going to be screwy. Or, she's got to be sweet and ladylike. Leave it to Grumpy and Doc and who else? I guess they were all in that scene. I'm thinking of the scene where they give Grumpy a bath, because that was screwiness. Where did I leave? Possibly with screwiness gags. The 3 story meetings held in October and the 3 story meetings. Okay, the 3 story meetings held in October and attended by Disney, Creedon, Larry Murray, Albert Hunter, Ted Sears, and Pinto Colvig were dominated by such subjects. So, them piecing together the character workings of the Seven Dwarfs and like the silliness that could ensue by these characters. I'd love to sit in on one of those meetings. That would have been something to see, right? All right. At this point, Disney felt that the story should begin with Snow White discovery of the cottage of the Seven Dwarfs. The story should begin with that. It's not. I guess it kind of began that way, huh? Because the evil queen put the hit out on her at the very beginning of the movie, yeah. Walt Disney had suggested from the beginning that each of the dwarfs, whose names and personalities are not stated in the original fairy tale, didn't know that, could have individual personalities. The dwarfs' names were chosen from a pool of about 50 potentials, including Jumpy, Deafy, Dizzy, Hickey, Wheezy, Baldy, Gabby, Nifty, Sniffy, Swift, Lazy, Puffy, Stuffy, Tubby, Shorty, and Burpy. So maybe Swift could have been Swifty, and it was just a typo in this. Burpy. I would have loved to seen Burpy. I would love to see Shorty, because the dwarfs are already short. So how short is Shorty? Nifty would have been cool to see. Hickey has me questioning things. Deafy. Deafy's just... I think that one might have been in bad taste. The 7 others were named for their disgusting character traits. At the end of the October story meetings, however, only Doc, Grumpy, Bashful, Sleepy, and Happy of the final 7 were named. At this point, Sneezy and Dopey were replaced by Jumpy and the unnamed 7th dwarf. So at the time, Sneezy and Dopey were Jumpy and some other unnamed 7th dwarf. Weird. Along with the focus to the characterizations, the comedic personalities or comedic possibilities. I told you I'm dyslexic. The comedic possibilities of the dwarfs. Creedon's 18-page outline, wow, of the story written from the October meetings featured a continuous flow of gags, as well as the Queen's attempt to kill Snow White. Whoa, with a poisoned comb. Oh, is it a comb in the original fairy tale? Attempt to kill Snow White with a poisoned comb. Wow. Yeah, an element taken from the Grimm's original story. Like, I should just keep reading. It's getting dark in the room I'm in, and the computer screen itself is blinding. So it's making everything even worse. My already grotesque inability to read aloud is only being stifled further by this blinding screen. Let's see. The disguised queen would have escaped alive, but the dwarfs would have arrived in time to remove it. Oh, cool. After the failure of the comb, what a good idea. The queen was to have the prince captured and taken to her dungeon, where she would have come to him. Story sketches show this event both with the queen and with the witch, and used magic to bring the dungeon's skeleton to life. So she would lock him in a dungeon and bring a skeleton to life in there, making them dance for him and identifying one skeleton as Prince Oswald. What? An example of the more humorous atmosphere of the original story treatment. So just for fun, the evil queen captures the prince, puts him in a dungeon, and brings a skeleton to life that dances with him. Okay. And the skeleton's name was Prince Oswald? Sure. I mean, I'd watch that version of Snow White. It is written in the story notes that the queen had such magical power only in her own domain, the castle. So only in the castle she can use her magic. That's a pretty interesting character trait. With the prince refusing to marry her, the queen leaves him to his death. One of the forest animals were to help the prince and escape the queen's minions and find his horse. Okay. The prince was to ride to the cottage to save Snow White, but took the wrong road. What? Despite warnings from the forest animals and his horse, whom he, unlike Snow White, could not understand. Okay. He therefore would not have arrived in time to save her from the queen, but would have been able to save her with love's first kiss. This plot was not used in the final film, though many sketches of the scene in the dungeon were made by Ferdinand Hovarth. You know, in the movie, the prince does kind of just vanish for a while. He pops up, sings the song with Snow White, and then goes away, and then comes back to give her true love's first kiss. Like, all him being captured and hanging out in a jail cell with a dancing skeleton, that would have filled that gap in pretty nicely. Would it have made the movie too long? Possibly. But I mean, that's kind of I guess let's just say that did happen and it just happened off screen. So that'll explain his absence through so much of the movie, right? Let's see. Other examples of the more comical nature of the story at this point include suggestions of a fat, batty cartoon type self-satisfied queen. So the queen wasn't going to be like evil and elegant. She was going to be fat, batty, cartoon-like. The prince was also more of a clown. I'm really glad they changed all this. And was to serenade Snow White in a more comical fashion. Ugh. Disney encouraged all staff at the studio to contribute to the story, offering $5 for every gag. So this was supposed to be like a goofy cartoon at first. Such gags included the dwarfs' noses popping over the foot of the bed. Yeah, when they first meet Snow White, that happened. Let's see. Disney became concerned that such a comical approach would lessen the plausibility of the characters. I back that. And sensing that more time was needed for the development of the queen. Yeah. Advised in an outline circulated on November 6th that attention be paid exclusively to scenes in which only Snow White, the dwarfs, and their bird and animal friends appear. So the only funny business is meant to happen with the dwarfs and their animal companions. No funny business with anybody else. I think that was a really good note and turn of events and execution. For the rest of 1934, Disney further developed the story by himself, finding a dilemma in the characterization of the queen, who he felt could no longer be fat and batty. Nobody wants a fat, batty queen. But a stately, beautiful type, which I'm so glad that they did end up going with. Fat and batty is still making me really happy. A possibility already brought up in previous story meetings. Disney did not focus on the project again until autumn of 1935. It is thought that he may have doubted his and his studio's ability, and that his trip to Europe that summer restored his confidence. So he even went to Europe and reconnected with the passion to complete Snow White. So thank God for that vacation he took. He laid out the likely assignments for everyone working on the film in a memorandum of November 25, 1935, and had decided on the personalities of the individual dwarfs. Sweet. It had first been thought that the dwarfs would be the main focus of the story. I mean, then it would have been called Seven Dwarfs and Snow White, right? And many sequences were written for the 7 characters. However, at a certain point, it was decided that the main thrust of the story was provided by the relationship between the Queen and Snow White. Yeah, I agree. Even though that wasn't necessarily like a deep kind of relationship, like they didn't get into like the depth of what was going on between them, just that the vain queen hated Snow White and wanted her dead. You know, for this reason, several sequences featuring the dwarfs were cut from this film. Whoa, I want to see those deleted scenes. The first, which was animated in its entirety before being cut, showed Doc and Grumpy arguing about whether Snow White should stay with them. So I kind of feel like they sort of did that to a lesser degree in the movie, where Grumpy's not into Snow White staying with him. Okay. Another also completely animated would have shown the dwarfs eating soup noisily and messily. Snow White unsuccessfully attempts to teach them how to eat like gentlemen. That sounds like something that they ended up putting in Beauty and the Beast, right? Because the beast was eating the soup like a beast, and then tried to use the spoon when he saw Belle doing it. So Belle successfully got the beast to eat more, gentlemanly. And there was a scene where Snow White wasn't so sick. Well, Snow White was trying to teach seven dudes, Belle only had to teach the one. Let's see. This actually turned out to be a lot longer than I thought it would be. A partially animated sequence involved the dwarfs holding a lodge meeting in which they try to think of a gift for Snow White. This was to be followed by the elaborate bed building sequence in which the dwarfs and the forest animals construct and carve a bed for the princess. She ended up sleeping like across their 7 beds, and they slept in like drawers and stuff. I like how they made her a bed in this, alternate universe. This also was cut as it was thought to slow down the movement of the story. I get that. The soup eating and bed building sequences were animated by Ward Kimball, who was successful or sufficiently discouraged by their removal to consider leaving the studio. Wow. His sequences were taken out of the movie, and he was like, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm out. However, Disney persuaded him to stay by promoting him to supervising animator of Jiminy Cricket in his next feature, Pinocchio. He was like, look, man, your scenes are not going to make the cut for Snow White, but here, you are overseeing the development of Jiminy Cricket. That's pretty sweet. All right, there's a lot more to this than I thought there was going to be. Let's see. What should we focus on? I guess I should make notes about these things, like what I want to touch in on before diving in and trying to skim what I want to talk about. Okay. I guess we can get through these two. Animation and music. Oh, and maybe, because I saw something about Dr. Caligari down there. Okay. Anyhow. All right. Animation, the primary authority on the design of the film was concept artist Albert Hunter. All designs used in the film, from characters' appearances to the look of the rocks in the background, had to meet Hunter's approval before being finalized. 2 other concept artists, Ferdinand Hovarth, we talked about him earlier, and Gustav Tenegrin, also contributed to the visual style of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Hovarth developed a number of dark concepts for the film. Although many other designs he developed were ultimately rejected by the Disney team as less easily translated into animation than Hunter's. Okay. Tenggren was used as a color stylist to determine the staging and atmosphere of many of the scenes in the film, as his style borrowed from the likes of Arthur Rackham and John Bower, and thus possessed the European illustration quality that Walt Disney sought. Okay. He also designed the posters for the film and illustrated the press book. However, Hovarth didn't receive a credit for the film. Other artists to work on the film included Joe Grant, whose most significant contribution was the design for the Queen's witch form. There you go. Thank Joe Grant for the witch. Let's see. Art Babbitt, an animator who joined Disney Studio in 1932, invented 7 of his colleagues who worked in the same room as him to come with him to an art class that he himself had set up at his home in the Hollywood Hills. Though there was no teacher, Babbitt had recruited a model to pose for him and his fellow animators as they drew. These classes, quote unquote, were held weekly. Each week, more animators would come. After 3 weeks, Walt Disney called Babbitt to his office and offered to provide the supplies, working space, and models required if the sessions were to be moved to the studio. Babbitt ran the sessions for a month until animator Hardy Gramatke, Gramatky, okay, suggested that they recruit Don Graham, the art teacher from, some institute. Okay, I don't really care about that. I got bored with that specifically. The classes were originally described as a brutal battle with neither instructor nor student well versed in the other's craft. The enthusiasm. Okay. Let's see. Very few of the animators at the Disney studio had an artistic training. Most had been newspaper cartoonists. Among these few, Grim Natwick, who had trained in Europe, the animator's success in designing and animating Betty Boop for Fleischer Studios, showed an understanding of human female anatomy. And when Walt Disney hired Natwick, he was given female characters to animate almost exclusively. So the same guy who developed Betty Boop ultimately developed the classic female form our Disney princesses have. Interesting. Attempts to animate okay, I don't really care. Now I'm just skimming. Next time I'll do better. I did not expect this to last this long. I thought this was going to be a little, real quick 20-minute banger. But no, it's not. Let's see. Okay, let's see the music. Whoop. Get out of here. The songs in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs were composed by Frank Churchill and Larry Murray. Paul J. Smith and Lee Harline composed the incidental music score. Well-known songs from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs include Hi Ho, Someday my prince will come and whistle while you work. Since Disney did not have its own music publishing company at the time, the publishing rights for the music and songs were administered through Born Co. Music Publishers, which continues to hold these rights. Oh man, really? In later years, the studio was able to acquire back the rights to the music from many of the other films, but not Snow White. Why are they bogarting those? I guess because it's so iconic. Snow White became the first American film to have a soundtrack album. Oh, it's the first American film to have a soundtrack, huh? Released in conjunction with, never mind. It was the first one to have a soundtrack album released in conjunction with the feature film before Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. A film soundtrack recording was unheard of. Oh, okay, so it was the first soundtrack. And of little value to a movie studio. Huh. All right. Cinematic influences. At this time, Disney also encouraged his staff to see a variety of films. These ranged from the mainstream, such as MGM's Romeo and Juliet, to which Disney made direct reference in the story meeting pertaining to the scene in which Snow White lies in her glass coffin. Ooh, dark. To the more obscure, including European silent cinema, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, as well as the two Disney films that follow it, were also influenced by such German expressionist films as Nosferatu from 1922 and The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari from 1919. Those movies inspired what? Snow White, Pinocchio, and Fantasia? Is that what they're saying? Fascinating. Not ever did I expect that to be the case. This influence is particularly evident in the scenes of Snow White fleeing through the forest and the Queen's transformation into the witch. I could totally see pulling directly from horror movies for those two scenes. That's really cool. Let's see. The latter scene was so inspired by Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, to which Disney made specific references in story meetings. That makes a lot of sense. The Queen turning into the witch. Yeah, man. Of course that's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That's got that written all over it. All right. Releases, re-releases, reception. Okay. Home media. Theme parks. Snow White's Enchanted Wish named, they actually updated this already. Okay, so I remember this ride being called Snow White's Scary Adventure, but in 2020, the ride has been changed to Snow White's Enchanted Wish. Interesting. This is a popular theme park ride at Disneyland, an opening day attraction dating from 1955. Tokyo Disneyland and Disneyland Paris. Fantasyland at Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom underwent an expansion from 2012 to 2014. The Snow White's Scary Adventure ride was replaced with Princess Fairy Tale Hall. Okay, where Snow White and other princesses are located for meet and greets. Included in the 2013 expansion of Fantasyland is the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, that Magic Kingdom, roller coaster. That's a really fun one. I've only been on it once, but that's a really fun. It's one of Marissa's favorites, I believe. Let's see. Snow White, her prince, and the Queen. Snow White, her prince, the Queen, and the Seven Dwarfs are also featured in parades and character appearances throughout the parks. Disneyland's Fantasyland Theater hosted Snow White, an enchanting musical from 2004 to 2006. Interesting. Video games. The first attempt at a Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs video game was for Atari 2600. Wow. As part of their line of children's games. It was never officially released, although a homebrew, quote-unquote, version was made available on a limited basis. Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was released for the Game Boy Color system in 2001. Snow White also makes an appearance in the PlayStation 2 game Kingdom Hearts, as one of the 7 fabled princesses of Heart. A world based on the movie Dwarf Woodlands appears in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep for the PSP. And then in 2013, free-to-play mobile game Snow White, Queen's Return, also known as Seven Dwarfs, The Queen's Return, an uncanonical continuation of the film. The Queen has survived the fall at the climax of the film and then reverted to her youthful form to cast a curse on Snow White and the dwarfs and their entire forest. Wow. Oh man, apparently there was supposed to be a prequel in 2000. In the 2000s, Disney Toon Studios began development on a computer animated prequel to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs titled The Seven Dwarfs. Glad they put a stop to that. Let's see. A story explaining how the dwarfs met, how the evil queen killed Snow White's father and took the throne. Yikes. Prequel to center around how Dopey lost his voice upon witnessing the death of his mother. What in the what? After Disney purchased Pixar in 2006, John Lasseter, Disney Toon's new chief creative officer, canceled Dwarfs. Yeah, good call. That's not something that ever needed to be. Man, all right. Well, let's see. Oh no. So I guess these episodes are going to be a little longer than I thought they were. Because I just kind of, read from Wikipedia some interesting facts. There's a goof. When the dwarfs are coming out of the tunnel after work to sing hi-ho, Grumpy and Happy suddenly appear. So I guess they're not in line and then all of a sudden they pop in. That's pretty funny. Neato. Cool. Well, that's pretty much the beef, the breakdown of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the Disney animated classic. If you haven't already, go and watch along with our watch along podcast and just allow me to talk over the entire film. Just, I don't know, being dumb. I guess it would be fun to fill the film with trivia, but no, I get more of a kick out of just providing in the moments witty, snappy commentary to what we're watching. I mean, it might not be snappy or witty, but whatever. I have a good time doing it. So I appreciate you for listening to this. I really appreciate you for listening. Listening to this, and really, like, if you're doing the watch-alongs in the intended way, I love you for that too. Please don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and rate, review, do whatever your podcast provider of choice allows you to do. Tell your friends. Tell them we're available anywhere and everywhere podcasts can be found. Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, all of them. Pandora, iHeartRadio, all those spots. You can listen to this podcast. So tell your friends. Don't let them weasel out by saying, I don't know what to listen to it on. You can listen to it anywhere, man or lady or non-binary folk. Stop making excuses. Just don't be a fool. What else? Oh, LealLegacy.com. Come on over to LealLegacy.com and scope out all the other killer content we have for you. Please visit our Skeleton Crew store. Skeleton Crew is our Leal Legacy lifestyle brand, featuring streetwear, apparel, and merchandise, and other doodads that... Oh, wait, I shouldn't have said featuring earlier. Featuring designs digitally crafted by me. So pretty much the bulk of the designs now are all Disney inspired. There's a poison apple design across various articles of clothing that ties directly into Snow White. A bunch of other things too. YouTube. Come on over to YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube, like the videos, leave comments, do all those things. Hit the notification bell. On YouTube, I'm doing classic cartoon commentary, where I provide commentary over just any and every cartoon from like the early 30s and 40s and 50s that I can find. I just do the same thing. It's like the watch along, but I'm doing it on the cartoon itself. You can watch... I think there's like upwards of 170, 180 almost cartoons on the YouTube channel that you can make your way through. Check out our new vlogentaries. Yeah, that's right. I wanted to be a vlogger. I really wanted to. I wanted to try the whole vlogging thing. I'm not good at it, but I am good at commentary. I'm good at running my mouth. So I developed vlogentaries, where I just shoot a bunch of footage of something I'm doing in life, and then I go back and I reminisce about it and talk over, a edited video of the experience. So, there is a Snow White. The first vlogantary is actually, my family took a trip to Walt Disney World a couple years ago, and we had dinner at the Fort Wilderness Resort for the it was a storybook dining experience with Snow White. So we got to do that. That's really cool. Scope that out. And then there's another vlogantary that's being posted shortly, if it's not already up by the time you hear this. It's our day we had at Magic Kingdom. So I'm stoked on those. I'm having a good time doing those. And yeah, just thanks, man. Thanks for everything. Thanks for listening. Thanks for just the support. I appreciate you. And I'll catch you next time on the Radnarok breakdown for Pinocchio. Later.